There is a lot of talk about setting goals in the new year, and I even have a video that I'll go ahead and link below that talks about it. And it's basically talking about setting SMART goals for yourself. And I go into a lot more details about what that actually means. So go ahead and watch that video first before you watch this video, because in this video, I really want to dig deep and talk through and think through over the next second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter of this year, 2021, and what that's going to look like for me. Does that mean, is my business going to grow? Will I need to bring on more contractors to help me in my business? What does that mean for me, and what does that mean for how I approach my days? Hi, my name is Adrina. I am the owner and accountant at Accounting by Adrina, and in this video, it's going to be all about business development. In fact, I've actually carved out this whole weekend in San Diego to think through what that means for my business. So I am currently at an Airbnb, which is why you don't recognize this area. What I'll go ahead and do is in this video talk through business development. And in my next video that will be released next week, it'll be a vlog all about my weekend. In fact, if you hear any noise, just know that it's the upstairs neighbor who I think is the owner of the place that I'm staying at, which is more like I'm in a basement type of thing, but they've converted it into like a whole Airbnb. So it's really nice. And in my vlog, I'll actually show you, I'll give you a tour of everything and kind of like the location and everything that I'm staying in. So let me catch you up to speed. So this morning I went to a coffee shop and I was thinking through what are my goals for this weekend. It's been a really crazy past 5 months and really busy, and I really haven't had time to be thoughtful and to really think through kind of like what is happening in my business. I feel like there's some sort of momentum picking up in 2021. I feel like there's a lot of hope in the air, and so I really want to think through what that means about my business, what that's going to look like in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, and in the next year. So let me kind of just read to you. I actually made a little instant coffee for myself. So second cup of coffee. I think that means it's going to be a productive day. Okay. So I actually wrote down kind of like everything that was on my mind. So a little bit of a brain dump about like the specific tasks that I was thinking about. And then after I did a brain dump, then I went through and categorized it. So I came up with 4 categories. So the first category is business development, process, and future. And really that's kind of like what's on my mind for this weekend. I really want to think through all of these things. Okay, the second category that I came up with was financials. So in thinking through business development and what that looks like for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, I need to really consider how my finances are looking. So when I'm talking about finances, I really mean about my business. Does that mean that maybe I need to slow down on a few things so that I don't overspend? And we want to make sure that my budget is good. I want to create a forecast for different scenarios that might happen. Let's say the scenario would be I get 2 new clients in the second quarter. So if I get 2 new clients, that means I would actually need to bring on more contractors to help me. So those are going to be line items in my budget that I want to make sure I'm really considering when I think through my budget and my forecast and my finances for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. The third category that I came up with was client work. So there is just a little bit of client work that is currently in Asana that are some tasks that I need to get done. So I want to get those tasks done off my plate, off my mind, all that kind of good stuff. And then the fourth category is what I won't do on this trip. So watch TV. I am not going to be watching TV. In fact, and the second thing is no Instagram. So I actually deleted the Instagram app from my phone so I wouldn't be tempted to just mindlessly scroll. If I need to check in on Instagram, check DMs and things like that, I can log in through my computer, which I have with me. So those are the 4 broad categories. The first category is the one that I'm most interested in. And if I get to the other 2 categories, then that's fine. 2 categories being financials and client work. If I don't get to it, those are things that I can do during the week, next week. So again, it's the end of March 2021. So I'm thinking through the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. I also brought a bunch of fun tools with me that I purchased on Amazon, so I'll be linking all of that stuff below as well. And yeah, I'll bring you along for the ride, and I'm so excited about this because it's the first of this type of video on my channel, and I think it's helpful to see like what other people are doing, and maybe that would help inform like what you could be doing for your business in the future. So yeah, maybe I'll create some freebies or things that you can download from this video that could help you in the future as well. So stick around and make sure to stay tuned for next week's video, where I show you all of the behind the scenes of where I am, what I'm eating, and all that fun stuff in between. But for now, let's get to work. So one of the questions that I wanted to answer while I was on this trip is I wanted to think through what my expenses would look like for the next year, because that's really going to feed into any financial forecast that I'm going to do. So I started writing a list of business expenses, which I'll show you guys here as well. And I started thinking through like the cost of this trip. I was sort of giving myself a budget of $500 for this whole trip. And I was then thinking like, okay, how much are things costing? So I thought I'd check in with my budget before I moved on to anything else, because that's really going to help inform kind of my decisions moving forward. So when I look at my budget, I also look at my personal spending and my personal budget as well. So it's just a time when I can look at both personal and business spending at the same time. And so for my personal budget, I actually did go over a couple categories here. So I have my computer right here in front of me. And it's funny because I do like delineate between groceries, dining out, household spending. I give myself an Amazon budget every month, because if I don't isolate that data, I'm gonna overspend on Amazon, and I think you will too. So make sure that you're giving yourself an Amazon budget if you are prone to making purchases on Amazon. So anyways, in this category, I call it groceries and personal care. And so I put like gym and anything that I would need for like the nails, my nails, eyebrow waxing, facial, massage, all that kind of good stuff is in this category. And I'm actually over budget on a few line items, but the whole category, I'm only over budget about $23. And so I was laughing at that because, you know, even though I'm over budget in a couple categories, so it's the end of March, so I'm not really going to spend, I don't have any plans to spend any more money in this category. So this is really what it's going to be. But it's interesting to look at, you know, at the end of March, and to think about like, okay, well, even though this, like my dining out is through the roof in March, and it's only because I've been really busy. And so it just felt like it was easier to go get Starbucks or Panera Bread or something like that during the week. And groceries is like minimal spending. So yeah, anyway, it's just interesting to kind of like check in with your budget and to look at that. I'm also a little bit over budget as far as my business spending is concerned. And I did send a reminder to one of my clients who hasn't paid. So I'm glad that I had this check in with my budget, because I realized a couple of things there. I also paid for California tax this month, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be, I just didn't want to forget. So those are normally due around tax time, and this year they extended the due date for taxes, as you well know. So anyway, I also had a business insurance expense, so I only pay those twice a year, and I just, you know, all of these huge expenses are coming out in March. So, you know, I have to make sure that I'm planning accordingly, because if I'm thinking through the rest of this year, you know, maybe I do want to do another retreat like this, and I want to set aside money for that. And then I have a list of items that I also want to buy. And all of this is going to get lumped into my financial forecast. So that's really going to help me kind of like plan out the next several months for this year, and then the first few months of next year as well. So that's where I'm at now. It's about 1:30, and I probably should take a break, but I also don't want to like lose momentum. You may be hearing some noise upstairs and outside. I think they're doing yard work, and then someone's like walking around, maybe cleaning upstairs. So just FYI, you know, it's like these things that we cannot control. which is fine. I've got Pandora playing in the background, so it's classical music, and I think that really like helps to put you in the mood. So again, I feel like there's some sort of momentum happening, so I want to maybe work for 20 more minutes and then I'll take a break. I'll take maybe a 2-hour break and then come back kind of refreshed and then go for maybe another 4 hours or so. So we'll see how all of that pans out. Okay, so it's a little after 2 and I am still going strong. So I'm still gonna keep up this momentum. I did have a little bit of a snack, but yeah, so I'm fine as far as like food is concerned, but I just like, I really feel like empowered. So I'm gonna keep going. So I told you guys I reviewed my finances. I gave you a little bit of an update. Next up, I'm gonna rethink my days. So when I approach my days, I normally have like an idea of like which client work I'm gonna do and like how many hours it's gonna take and how many hours I need to devote to anything else related to my business. So that could be any emails that came through or YouTube videos, thinking through those types of things. So I usually have like set things of what I'm going to do each day, and I usually look at Asana to make sure that those tasks align with what I'm going to do on each of the days. However, like now that I have a team and I can delegate some of the responsibilities, I need to start thinking in terms of like reviewing my team's work and then doing any kind of like financial analysis or budgeting that my clients need. So I'm going to try and move into like a more analytical role for them so that they can get different types of reports, but they're a little bit more intuitive and that they speak more towards their business. So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking forward to this year. And so I'm going to rethink it and try to develop a plan that can work, kind of like a template that can work moving forward. So here we go. So going along with the business expenses I told you guys about earlier, I wanted to show you what I did. So I basically took one of the big wall sticky notes and kind of like I did a little bit of a brain dump as far as what I think I'm going to be spending my money on this year. And as far as, you know, these are the quarterly estimated tax payments. And I don't have estimates for that quite yet because I'm still working through my finances. So this is what I've got so far. I do need a new computer. My computer is going to be about 5 years old and it's starting to act up a little bit, and so it's making me nervous. So I'm giving myself a budget of $850. I hope that's enough. I also want to get like a podcast mic and a webcam so I can continue doing in real life videos. We had our first season last year and I'd just like to amp up kind of like my side of things. I think it goes along with the whole new computer thing. So hopefully $1,050 is going to be enough for all of that. So we'll see. I will want to get a new desk and a new chair for my office. I don't really have a timeline for that, so just in the fall. And then I put down a third quarter retreat. So I'm guessing like, I just realized I said third quarter retreat and then I said June. No, that I think I would mean more like September for that. So I'll fix that. Anyway, also 2020 taxes are due May 17th, so I need to make sure that I'm capturing that in my forecast. So this is what I got so far, and I'm going to come back over here to work on my rethinking my days, and then there's the post-it notes. So at the beginning of every month, I like to fill in my calendar for that particular month because bookkeeping is on a monthly type cycle rather than just a weekly or daily type cycle. So there are monthly tasks that I need to get done rather than daily tasks that I need to get done. So this is specifically for my current bookkeeping clients. What I'm doing is I basically ripped off the month of March on my calendar and started to fill in for the month of April. And doing this process actually helps me realize there are certain tasks that I can do differently and that I can delegate to. So on the side of my calendar, there's like a column there that's kind of blank, and so I use that to sort of write in all of my clients' business names and see if there's anything that I could delegate out to either my bookkeeper or my virtual assistant to help me out. But really just kind of going through this process, I'm actually merging some of my personal stuff into my calendar because that way I can see it all in one place. Sometimes it's hard with Google Calendar and having different types of meetings in each day. It's just visually better for me to see it like this. And then it just helps me as I'm on the phone with a client or on the phone or on a Zoom meeting with my team members or what have you. So next, after that, I am just going to start writing down the different types of clients that I have on each Post-it note sheet. These are like those large Post-it notes, and I'm using these markers that are like specifically made for these. So that way, if you stick the Post-it note up on the wall, it's not going to bleed through. So just know that those are like special markers, and I'll go ahead and link those below as well. Due to the pandemic, I ended up moving a couple of my clients into a quarterly bookkeeping type of rotation, and so that means I'm only looking at their books on a quarterly basis and doing their bookkeeping on a quarterly basis, and this helps out with their costs, keeping them low, so that way we didn't have to separate from each other basically. And so I did a list of what are the tasks that I need to do for my quarterly bookkeeping clients. And then after that, on a separate Post-it note board, I did a list of kind of like sectioned off for each client that I had. That's like a medium business, kind of like a little bit bigger than my quarterly bookkeeping clients, because they all have kind of similar tasks, but they're slightly different because each business is a little bit different. And then as far as like what else I wrote on the notepad is just like specific things that I would need to follow up on. What are like some of those specific needs? Like I'm going to need bank statements. I'm going to need to arrange a quarterly bookkeeping meeting. And for those specific tasks, who can I delegate that to? Obviously, bank statements are very private, so that's not something that I really do want to delegate out. But for some of these other things like scheduling a meeting, I can definitely send that over to my virtual assistant. All right, so here are my sticky notes with all of my thoughts on them, and I thought I'd review them with you before I add more details for the sake of my clients and my contractors, just for privacy, that's all. So this Post-it note has quarterly bookkeeping, and these are the clients that I usually look at their finances on a quarterly basis, and this is just kind of like one of those new things that I decided to do with some of the clients that came out of the pandemic. So starting up here, basically I'm trying to make sure that they are filing their quarterly estimated tax payments. So I'm doing everything around that. So you can see like the due date for this one is April 15th, and that's only because the first quarter taxes are due April 15th. And so this is January through March finances. So just kind of like trying to think in like broader terms, like what needs to be done and kind of like the specific tasks that need to be done. And then what do I need for these? So obviously I need bank statements, credit card statements. If there's any additional entries and answers to questions, I also need a meeting time, right? So the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to start divvying out, kind of like delegating some of the responsibilities to my virtual assistant, to my bookkeeper. So things like that, I want to develop a process for. And then over here, these are not all my clients, but I thought I'd give you a little behind the scenes here. I'm missing 4 clients from this list here, but I'm onboarding 2 of them. Okay, so this is monthly bookkeeping, and I tried to hide their names for their privacy. And I kind of just went through each client and figured out like what are the specific tasks that need to be done. So for this client, weekly reconciliations that need to be done, monthly American Express expenses. That account isn't connected to QuickBooks, and American Express is just special like that. Monthly financials and quarterly reviews. So those are on all of these ones here. And then this one, they have me probably the most busiest. So this is one of my bigger clients. My biggest client is not listed here. And then, and then onboarding 2 other ones. So as you can see, like these clients require different things. Their business models are different. So I wanted to kind of think in terms of like, what are the things that I do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, and categorize them. So for this one, they have donations. So we enter donations on a monthly basis. They have prepaids, depreciation, things like that. And then I'm going to start figuring out kind of like who I can divvy this out to, and then delegate out to, and then what are the tasks that I need to do and how much time is it going to require on my end. Obviously, with this much work, I will not be able to do all of the things. So, and I want to do the high level things. So I want to make sure that I'm the one meeting with my clients on a quarterly basis, that I'm the one reviewing their monthly financials, that I'm doing the reconciliations. So this is about as much information as I'm going to show you. I'm going to kind of fill it in a little bit more here and then go from there. All right, it is retreat day 3, and I'm double checking my list while drinking my coffee. And there are a few things that I want to get done today. However, I have a few meetings. So my first meeting is at 11. It's about 9:45 right now. And before my first meeting, I want to make sure that I have a clear mind about all the client work that I need to get done. So my largest client, I have not divvied out like I did yesterday with all the other clients. So I'm going to do that with my largest client first. And then the 11 o'clock meeting is more like a training with my virtual assistant. So I'm going to go over a few things with her that I've already updated and changed and things like that. And then some other responsibilities that she'll be taking over from me. So I need to come up with a list for that training session. I think I can get all this done within the hour and 15 minutes. And then after that, I'll have a 30-minute break for lunch. And then I have my next meeting at 1 o'clock. And that'll be a 2-hour meeting, so I won't be able to get anything done during that meeting. Again, this is the nonprofit that I'm on the board with, and it's their annual meeting. So after that, I'm going to take a break because that's a lot. And then later on tonight, what I'll do is the forecast scenarios and develop my goals for the second and third quarter. And I guess that's going to be pretty much it. If I have time left over, I would like to do some client work because I don't think I'll be able to have time tomorrow morning before I leave. So I have to check out here tomorrow at 11. So it's going to be a busy day. Yeah, I'll take you along for a few pieces of it as long as I can record it. So I'll catch you later. All right, it is about 6 o'clock and I've had a very full day. I was able to get the things done in the morning that I wanted to, so I thought through and wrote down everything that I do for my largest client, and I tried to think in broader terms, like categories. So my largest client has 2 QuickBooks accounts and what's involved with everything that I do each month. So I basically wrote down all of the bank accounts that they have. I'm just looking at the sheet. I'm not going to share it with you because it's too much personal information. So I'll just walk through it with you. I wrote down all the bank accounts that they have and kind of how I can divvy up the work. The bank recs I will take care of because I want to make sure that I'm doing the double check and insofar as the accountability measure is concerned. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing my best to stay accountable with my bookkeeper and making sure that I'm double checking the work that she does. So that's for the bank accounts connected to QuickBooks. And then there's other assignments that I'm tasked with for this client that is not in QuickBooks. And so some of the stuff that I can that I have on my plate, it can be divvied up to like my virtual assistant. So I went over those things with her in the meeting earlier, which is like things that she's already been aware of and that she's already been trained on. And then I kind of like added a few more things. I realized that the sheet that I wrote out for my largest client is actually more than the other sheet that I showed you guys from day 2. And I'm like, okay, well, this is why I'm tired, but it's going to be good because I feel like the process that I'm creating for them is going to put us on really solid ground. And I'm looking forward to kind of getting that process and that structure going so that way I don't feel overworked with this one particular client, and that I can actually kind of take a step back and think of the larger picture. I think they're going to be growing this year, and so I want to be able to provide support for them regarding whatever kind of financial reporting that they need, analysis, forecasting, budgeting, that kind of stuff. So that's the area, that's the role that I want to step into. And I know I've said that a few times already with this video, but that's really kind of what I'm thinking about. So I was able to write through all of that stuff, write it down, write down what I wanted to go over with my virtual assistant in the meeting that I had with her today, and kind of like structure things a little bit more, just to make sure that the tasks that we have for her it makes sense. And if she has any questions, there's still some training that I need to do with her that we haven't had a chance to get to yet. And it's only because there's like a technical glitch. So I have to figure that technical glitch out. It's like she's ready and willing to help me with this thing, but it's, yeah, technical, you know, sometimes technology is on our side and other times it's not. So I'll work through that this week, and I'm looking forward to getting her up and running for that one task. And then after that, I had a little bit of a break that I could heat up my food, and I ended up eating lunch during my next meeting, which was at 1 until 3. And I just decided to kind of give myself a couple hour break, 3 to 5. So I went for a drive, I saw the beach. I'll put some shots of the beach here. It was a beautiful day in San Diego, about 80 degrees. And everyone was just out and about, just having a good time. So I don't blame them. It is starting to cool down a bit, so I put on some comfy clothes for the rest of the evening. But I'm going to, and then I got dinner, came back here, ate dinner, watched an episode of New Girl, and so I'm getting ready to get back into work. And I'm going to check out my list and see what else I have on that list, so that I can move forward with my retreat. And we'll see if I can get some work done tomorrow morning as well. So I'll check back in with you guys later, a little bit later. How meta is this? I am watching my video on creating SMART goals while I get started on creating SMART goals. So I'm thinking I need to create, I want to create a goal for each kind of like section. So like blog, YouTube, like a course. I think I might be creating another course. I'm thinking through that. And then like client work. So for each of those sections, I want to have specific goals. And of course, I want to take my own advice too. All right, so here are my SMART goals that I sort of brainstormed with right now, insofar as what I think I can do realistically. Okay, so let's start at the top. 2 blogs per month. So I've got 9 more months left, April through December. 9 more months left of the year, which means it would be 18 blogs. I can have my VA help me with this, and that's something that we've already talked about today. So I think that's definitely realistic. I've got a couple on my mind already for April. So it's just a matter of putting pen to paper. Okay, so there's the time bound and then relevant. So I'm trying to think of like broad strokes here. So seasonal, related to the pandemic, if you've lost your job, things like that. Maybe I can provide some resources, taxes, bookkeeping, all that kind of good stuff, budgeting. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Sorry about the shadows. Okay, so next is for my YouTube channel. I figure I'm going to be good if I do between 2 to 4 YouTube videos per month. So in these busy months, it seems that I am posting every other week. And in normal months, it feels like I'm posting every week. So I don't want to lock myself into 4 YouTube videos each month. Because I don't want to set myself up for failure if I happen to have a busy month. So we are going to start a second season of In Real Life episodes. So I think that's going to be about August through October or so. It'll be the same 8 to 10 episodes. And then I was just sort of thinking through what the rest of the year would look like. So tax or bookkeeping, tax planning, bookkeeping, those kinds of things, what you need to do to set yourself up for the end of the year. So total, it would be a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 36. When I see that number 36, it kind of like freaks me out a little bit. I feel like 18 is definitely more attainable. But that comes on to this one here for achievable. Is this achievable? I think 18 is certainly achievable. So that's definitely there. Anything above that would be, as they say, gravy. My team will definitely help as far as collaborating for any ideas that they have. And I could, potentially like couple a blog with a YouTube video, that kind of thing. Same topics and then same amount of time. Next up, I wrote down 1 new course. And I think if I were to do a new course, I would want to have it done by October to post it and get the sales up and running for that. I'd want to do some affiliate links in there and a referral program for other people. I definitely need help with this. This would definitely be relevant to what I do. And so that gives me 7 months to plan it out. Next up, I said 2 new bookkeeping clients per quarter. So that would be bringing on 6 new clients total for the rest of the year. I'm in the process of bringing on like 4-ish. What is it? In the beginning of the year, I started with 13. I currently have 17. So yeah, so 4. I'm in the process of bringing on 4 clients. And then if I add another 6, it'll end around 23, which tells me that I would need to probably bring on another bookkeeper to help with client work by July. So that gives me 3 months to find 2 new clients and then bring on another bookkeeper, which actually might happen. I'm in the process of talking with another person who is thinking about having me do their bookkeeping. So I would just need 1 more new client and then I could bring on another bookkeeper at that point. Okay, so achievable. I would want to do like a referral, like bonus or credit program with my current clients to solicit if they have any other kind of like people in mind who need bookkeepers. So as far as being achievable, I still need to think this one through a little bit more. Obviously, this is relevant to my business, and this is ongoing as far as the time is concerned. And lastly is digital downloads. So I'd like to do more like freebies in my newsletter. I like creating like low cost spreadsheets that you can download, and I also like giving out discounts. So shout out to my newsletter, because my newsletter folks will be the first ones to know about any kind of discounts or any kind of freebies. My VA is wonderful at design, and so all I have to do is give her the content and she'll design something beautiful. Relevant. So I feel like I can do some digital downloads or printables or things like that that can coincide with a YouTube video. I also feel like I can do kind of like a cheaper download that would coincide with the course, that would kind of entice people to sign up for the course. And I'm just trying to think of the cadence of this. Do I want to do this on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, or when? So there's a few things that I need to think through a little bit more, but this is the gist of it. I'm probably going to go into more detail on more pages. So this is what you'll see. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. Obviously, it is future me, and I wanted to quickly recap a little bit about some thoughts that I have post-weekend business retreat. It is currently a couple months after my first ever weekend business retreat, and I do have some thoughts because I was thinking about how, the number of days that I was there, and I felt like I really could have used one more full day in order to go through everything that I had on my list on things that I wanted to accomplish. But it is just a good kind of foundation for me to start with and to go from here. So I do plan to do another weekend retreat in September, and so I feel like those are two good points in time where I could really sit down and think through things. If I were to do this on a quarterly basis, I would probably need a little bit more help and maybe someone to come along with me to bounce ideas off of, but I'm not quite there yet. And even thinking about the retreat in terms of what I did accomplish over the past couple of months with relation to the SMART goals that I have, I didn't actually accomplish all of the SMART goals that I had, and that's okay because I ended up onboarding more clients than I had anticipated. And I also brought on another bookkeeper in May. So my business is still feeling that momentum that I felt earlier in the year. And I think adding on another bookkeeper will only mean good things for me, because that's really gonna help move some of those day-to-day tasks off my plate so I can think in larger terms and think in more analytics of what I talked about in the video. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you are aware of the weekend vlog where I share everything behind the scenes with you on this weekend business retreat. And I can't wait to share that with you, and I hope that you would go ahead and drop any comments or questions that you have in this video. And if you are looking for some more one-on-one advice, don't forget you can always schedule a consultation with me. You can schedule a budget consultation or just a financial consultation to see if there was anything that you wanted to think through or talk through similar to what I've already talked about in this video. I'd be happy to do that, and I'll send the links down in the description box below. All right, friends, I will see you in the next video.